viewers. This is your weekly Teens Voice show. I am your host, Fatmata Badika. So today I have three amazing girls in the studio here with me. And on my left I have, and on my right I have.
Adam Jallo.
And I am Asanatu Kagbo.
So today our topic of discussion will be centered on teens and society. So get ready to be mind blown by our fun, interactive and education session of ours. But before we get into anything, I would love to know who you are individually, what you love doing and your profession. So let's start with Mariam.
My name is Mariama Ba. I'm a student and I love listening to music and also reading poems. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Adam Jallo. I am 16 years old. I love listening to music too. I love dancing and I love reading my novels too.
I am Asanatu Kagbo, and what I love doing is poetry and then listening to music, and sometimes I enjoy dancing with my friends.
Well, thank you. So before we address how the society affects the behavior and attitude of teenagers, first I would like to define what a society is. As we all know, society plays a huge role in molding teenagers who are committed to meaningful development of their society. So, you as parents can influence all these things as well. But things that will stick with teenagers for so long are learned from the community. So without wasting much time, I would like my colleagues to elaborate more on the effects of societal problems we have. So first of all, one of the societal problems we face as teenagers is the misuse of social media, which has positive effect and bad effect as well. So ladies, what's your take on this one?
When it comes to social media, first we have to know what social media is. Social media is a platform where teens or even adults share videos and pictures online in order to interact and meet new friends. So social media has both positive and negative impact. You can use social media to improve on your academic performance, or if you misuse social media, it might lead you to have a poor results in your academic performance. So guys, we have to really careful in the way we use our social media, and we have to use it in a good way in order to improve ourselves personally. So social media is just a platform where people should find new friends and even learn about things that they do not know. So these are the positive impacts of social media.
So, as the saying goes, there is positive and negative side of everything. We all know how social media has impacted us as individuals. So, I would like to know, how has social media impacted your lives as individuals?
For me personally, I use the social media to research on things I did not know about. For example, if my teachers give me a work to do in the class and then I find it difficult, when I get home, I scroll on the internet and get it easier for myself. The next day, it's fine for me.
Mariama, what's your take on that?
My take on that is like social media has helped me to communicate with my friends that are far away from me, and it also helped me, like she mentioned, it also helped me in my research when my teachers give me homework to do and all other stuffs. I think yes, it has impacted in my life.
So, we all know social media has gone beyond that. We all know how social media is currently in our lives. It is causing a lot of damages rather than molding us into the best versions of ourselves. So social media goes beyond chatting, researching stuff. So as we all know, the current generation is misusing social media. They are using social media as a source of distraction, a source to bully people, a source where they can expose themselves without having the concept of what social media is all about. So do you think social media is doing more harm or is doing more good?
I personally think that social media is doing more harm than good to teens of nowadays. Because if you see the time that teens spend on social media, if at all they use that time to read their books or go through their notes, they would have done better in the exam. We can see the last grade 12s, they didn't do very good in their exams, and most of them were blaming social media. But you can use social media in a good way, researching about things that you don't know. But if you use it in a bad way and spend most of your time scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, you might not do very good in your academic performance. So that is the negative side of social media, but it depends on how you use it.
So according to the past research, or according to research, it is shown that most of these teenagers who use social media throughout they came out having poor results. And that is because they spend all their times using social media instead of going through their books. Do you think the past grade 12 that have just left, do you think social media is the main reason why their results came out poorly?
I don't actually think ignorance is an excuse. We all actually know. You are going for an exams, and grade 12 is not just the end of life for every other person. You have days in which you can go to the media, scroll through TikTok. You will find everything in the past because it is an app that keeps things for so long. You can find it there. When you are on your exams, concentrate fully on your exams. When you are done with the exams, you can go to social media and then do whatever you want to do. That's it. But that should not be a reason why you say I sit at home and then blame TikTok for failing my exams. It was the fault of the children themselves for failing their exams. I don't think social media should be fully blamed for that.
You know, social media also has some restrictions because some contents are there. You saw it, you are restricted to watch it, but instead like
Smart.
you play smart in watching those videos because sometimes you be there only 18, you see they are only 18 years, but instead you add up your age in order to watch that content. So do you think parents also are that responsible to be looking after their child in every move that they take?
Yeah, I think a parent should be very concerned about what your child is doing. So you have to make sure when your child is about to open a particular app, I think that will also be the responsibility of the teens to make sure when they are about to open a particular app, not use a false age to make sure they get into their desires. Because most of the time when we keep on following our desires, we end up failing.
To me, it's a yes and a no, because some parents are not well educated and they don't know anything about social media. So I think teenagers themselves, they are grown up. So they should be aware of what is bad for them and what is good for them. So like you misusing social media is a bad thing to them. In like they personally know that it's bad for them. So I think parents cannot be blamed for those stuff. Like educated parents, I think for them they should look into it by checking their
Children's.
children's account regularly and checking what their children's are doing in social media and all other stuff. But for uneducated parents, I think it's really hard for them to know what is happening to their children. So I think teenagers themselves should be the one to look into it before the parents will start looking into it because they are responsible.
But as we all know, recently I am a huge fan of social media, especially when it comes to TikTok.
Yeah, everyone.
So, you know, I'm a student. When I go to school, every time you are this shy type, or you don't dress comfortably. Maybe you are poor or you are from a poor background. But when you have peer influences around, your friends tend to be like, hey, you are not up to that standard, so you cannot move with me. You know, that depression, that anxiety, and that sadness in you will lead you to go into social media, start copying the bad attitudes of Western lifestyle. So do you think also the peer influence at school has also motivated teenagers to go in for bad attitudes?
Yeah, most of the times teenagers have this misconstruction of ideas. What I actually think is we see the celebrities on the media. They most of the time say that this is my media and not my life. We try to copy what they are doing on media, but what they are doing in real life, they actually know it's good for them. This is the media and not their life. Everybody should know this and say to myself that everything I see on media is not actually true, and copying it might lead me to doing bad things, and that wouldn't be good for me.
So Adam, what's your take on this, because you are as well as a student?
Yeah, as peer influence can cause someone to go in for social media. Because if you don't have friends at school and nobody wants to interact with you, you will tend to go to social media where you will have fun and be happy. But sometimes the people that you see on social media, those are not their real life. What they show, the image that they show on social media, that is not how they are. So you tend to copy that bad attitude from them, and you're just destroying yourself because their life is already made. They are finding money on, they are getting money on that social media. But for you personally, you don't understand that, so you just copy their lifestyle and just destroy yourself.
So what would be the one advice you give out to youths out there who are misusing the social media, thinking that they are molding themselves into the best versions that they can be? So what's your advice for them not to misuse social media, but instead use it for educational purpose and purposes that are good? So Mariam, I'll go with you.
I think teenagers, so my advice to them is that they should limit the social media life and concentrate on their future and stuffs. Because currently in the Gambia here, everybody does Western lifestyle. They think that being in social media and doing those stuffs is actually life. Those celebrities that we see on social media are paid. They are verified celebrities. But basically, for us, the teenagers, I don't see anybody in the Gambia that a teenager who is verified, except the celebrities, the singers, and stuff. So I think the teenagers should really limit the social media stuff and concentrate on their education, so that in the future they will have something good to do or be responsible in our society.
So Adam.
I think social media, you can help yourself by using social media, but also you can destroy yourself, as I've said. So teens right now should concentrate on their education. You know, we learn from our mistakes. We saw the last grade 12s, they lost their exams and they are blaming the social media for it. The social media has been their sins and our brothers were passing. So where did they fail? Because they spend more time on it. So we should limit the time that we spend on social media, or even if we are going to use social media, we use it for good purposes, for searching our work and doing our homeworks and reading things that are going to help us in our education. So that's what we should do on social media.
To me, about the grade 12 result, that it was basically the grade 12 results, the grade 12, the social media was actually the reason why they failed. I think that's not actually the only reason why they fail. I think some of the students, they actually go into a field that they will not feel comfortable in, because like my friend chose this field, I also choose it, and also their parents will force them to choose a certain field that they will not feel comfortable. So at the end of the day, they will start failing woefully and they will not have anything to do in the future. I think it is basically not only the social media part. I think the choosing of field should also be looked into.
So Asana.
What she said is actually true, but most of the time we have these teens having a problem of a borrowed life, and a borrowed life is never a better life. The life of the Westerners does not belong to us, and for us making it as us, that is why it is actually disturbing us, because we borrow it and we do not actually know what it entails or what it upholds, so we fail in managing to control it, because it's not us. Whatever is not yours is not manageable by you.
Sure.
So we will go on a short break and we will be back right after. So welcome back from that short break. I would love to continue with my girls where we have stopped. So one of the challenges we face as youth in the community is security. Security basically will include the crime rates in the society. So I will allow my colleague here to speak more on crimes and crime rates in our society.
The effect of crime rate on teens in our society is really, really something that should be looked into, because right now crime is everywhere in our country. You hear about a murder case, a robbery case, a rape case, and so many things. I think if criminals are punished for their crimes, and then teenagers have seen those criminals being punished, I think they will not put themselves into those crimes. They will say, oh, this criminal is being punished, so they will just stay away from the wrong path, because there's a consequence that they will face in the future. So they will just forget about it and do good thing. So I think the law enforcement in our society is really not good right now. The law enforcement issue is really not good, and teenagers do what they feel like doing. They steal, do robbery, and all other things associated to crime. So also basically it's not only about the law enforcement. I think parents also play a vital role in it, because some parents leave their child like that. They don't they don't they don't coach them, and they don't give them advices that they should stay away from criminal offenses. They don't take care of them. So that's why a lot of teenagers turn out to be gangsters and all other stuffs. So if we have good parenting in our society, there will be less crime in the society. And also, if law enforcement is done, teenagers will really stay away from crime and all other stuff. Yeah, because crime rate is really.
So I think the reason why we have high crime rates, so we have been having a lot of graduates recently, though they have bigger dreams, they have the ability and the capability, but no job employment is created for them. So though they have the ability, the dream and the capability of doing the job, but they will be denied from it. So I think the perspective that these young people have is either go in for crimes, robbery, rape and molestation. And as we know, we are in a democratic state. So a democratic state would be like a state free from war, a state where you can walk freely without fear and stigma. But recently in our country, if you look at it deeply, girls, we as girls cannot walk freely because we have the fear that we'll be raped, molested, hit and attacked by these gangsters or criminals, right? So I think the security I think the government needs to play a huge role in managing our security so that the lives and properties of people can be safeguarded. But as you can see, we have crime cases in the Gambia here. It will be taken to court, and the next minute the person that has caused that crime will be free just because the person is rich or the person has so much influences that the victim will not have a say in whatever is done. I think corruption also leads to high crime rate.
Academic performance plays a huge role in crime, because if people fail in their academic performance, they tend to go into crime to sustain themselves. But not knowing that you can be your own entrepreneur, create your own job and get your own money. But Gambians have to believe that working in the office is the only way to sustain yourself. So this is the reason why people go in for crimes, because they have no job to sustain themselves.
But Adam, let me come in there.
Yeah.
So as we know, learning doesn't stop at the four corners of the classroom, but it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
So these youths out there also don't pray to be crimes, and nobody prays to be a gangster that will be ruining people's life. But if you sit and think about it, these teenagers have nothing to do. At least if they cannot do well in academics, at least they can have a skill that they can engage themselves in to earn themselves a living.
Yeah.
But do you think right now in our state, do you think there are enough skill centers where these young people can engage themselves to earn a living for themselves?
Yeah, I think that is where the government comes in. The government should help to create these job opportunities for people who failed in their academic performance. It's not that they are stupid or they cannot do it, because they are just not good at that area. Everyone has your own talent and your own skill. So that's why if government form these working centers for people who are able to do those kind of works, I think that will really reduce the crime rates in our society.
And Asanadu, I'll come to you.
Yeah, it is actually very true that the rate of crime is increasing in our society, but we don't actually have to blame the people going into those crimes. Most of the times, we don't know what they are going through. Some people, it is as a result of what they go through at home or even in their society. Sometimes you'll be in a society and then you get mockery from every other person out there, like, this is what you do, that is what you do, and those things are not good for our mental health. It will damage your mental health, and then you start going into things that are not even intentional. So you try to venture into crimes, and then you end up being a criminal when it's not actually your fault. And I think society should also be very careful with how they deal with people, know their current state before getting them into doing something that they do not want to get into.
As teenagers, what do you think are the possible solutions in overcoming these problems in our society? Maria?
This situation, the teenagers overcoming these problems in the society. I think the society should bring in the law enforcement issue in every aspect. I think they should make sure that every criminal that commits a crime should be punished. If they do that, like, teenagers will also stop doing those crimes. And also, I'll talk about the parenting issue. I think parents will also talk to their children regularly and also advise them to stay away from criminal offenses. I think as teenagers, we are all old, so we should also advise ourselves and think about the consequences we'll face in the future if we put ourselves into those crimes. I think we should be very, very careful about ourselves and also do what is right for ourselves, because we are all grown-ups, and we also should think about the consequences we'll face in the future if we do those crimes.
So these criminals facing these consequences, because we have seen people that have caused severe crimes, they are put behind bars, but at the end of the day, they come out doing worse than what they have done before. So Adam, do you think there is a possible solution to these problems that we have just highlighted?
Yeah, I think there are solutions to the problem. You see, the prison should not be a place just for punishment. It should be a place where you should teach people to have their own skills and not go in for the crime that they did last there. But if you put someone behind bars and all you do is torture the person and not train the person to be a better person in the future, obviously when the person comes out, he will do something way worse than they did before. Because he will say that this thing, they didn't teach me anything for me to use to add a meaning to my life. So they will do something in order to sustain themselves. And if they don't have any job around, of course they will go in for their crimes in order to sustain themselves.
So what will you tell youths out there who are engaged into these criminal acts?
I mean, youths are out there. If you think that this is the end of your life because you are not good at academic performance and all you do is crimes, this is not the end of the world. Just by failing your academic performance, it's not the end of the world. We have entrepreneurs. Just look at the rich people around, the successful people around. Most of them are entrepreneurs. They work on their own and they have their own money and sustain themselves. So that's what everyone should do. If you know that you are not good at academic performance, go in for carpentry, go in for welding. You will have your own money. But that is the concept that most Gambians, they have the concept that working in the office is the only way of life. But we have welding, we have carpentry, and people can be very rich using those. Look at Jigo Construction. He's not working in the office or anything. He has his own company. So he's making money and he's very successful. So that's one example that you should follow. Not only working at the office and being doctors or lawyers is the only way of life. You can have carpentry and have your own work and sustain yourself.
Exactly. And finally to Asana.
Okay, I think there are possible solutions to these problems in the society, but most of the time we have a problem in coaching our teenagers and knowing what they actually want to do. So I think the society should play a helping hand in making sure that they coach and know each and every child and what he or she actually wants to do. You might send me to school, but that is not my intention. Being in the class and then learning there, I find it so difficult. But when you come back to me, ask me. If you see that I'm not doing well in my academics, ask me, why are you failing in this subject? Why are you doing that and why are you doing that? What is your intention? What do you want to become in the future? You actually know what I want to do. Maybe I want to venture into fashion. Maybe I want to venture into other things that are out there and could be very helpful in my life. You don't actually give me the chance to voice out what I actually want. So that would be a problem for me. And the next thing I will do is venture into crimes to make sure that I hurt other people's feelings, because I'm also going through that torture of feelings. So I'll make sure that they also go through that. This is how the society is built. The possible solution to this problem is also mentorship and coaching.
Okay, before we end this show, I would like my colleagues to say one or two words on what they have learned throughout this show.
Okay, my advice to teenagers out there is for them to be responsible, and also the society should bring in law enforcement in our society, so that we will have less crime rate and also the robbery issue will end. Thank you.
And Ada?
I personally think it always than our parents. Our parents will be there for the things and know what they are venturing into, and know your children and know what they are good at and what they are bad at. If you know that they are good at a particular thing, support them in them and support them at it, and they will be good in the future.
And Asana?
For me personally, what I think is that schools and peers play a greater role in molding our children in the society. So I think the schools and the peers we mingle with in the school should be something we look into a lot. The schools should be also very helpful in making sure that our teenagers are molded in a better way.
Thank you guys for watching. That is all we have for you in this edition of Teens Voice. So till we meet next time.